Alongside Stephen Simcox, America's sweetheart.
America's sweetheart. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I was going to say Fort Worth, but that's just too small.
Man, move over, Zac Efron, or whoever's America's sweetheart right now. I don't really know.
Yeah. Have you seen Landman, by the way?
Yeah. I've seen Jerry's cameo. I've not seen the show.
Okay. I think you should watch the show. There's a TCU component to it.
I've heard that, yeah.
Yeah, there's a TCU component to it. There's also a large Texas Tech component to it. So, if you're fans of either of those two schools,
it's there. Yeah.
It's there.
Oil money, baby.
Anyway, okay, so let's start out, Stephen, with we'll do Ohio State and Notre Dame next because we're going to do a college football topic, so we'll flow nicely. I would like to know from you, Stephen Simcox, Cowboys fan extraordinaire, who you would like to be the next coach. The only two names we know so far of any varying levels of interest are Deion Sanders, which I'm all for because I need something to entertain me about this team, or one that I actually do like, according to Ian Rappaport, Robert Saleh is going to get an interview, and I actually think that would be kind of an inspired choice. I don't think he's the reason the Jets were unsuccessful. I think it was their owner and their nut job quarterback.
Those are intriguing names. I would be really intrigued by Deion. I don't know if it would work, but you're right. Like
what's worked?
Yes, well, that's true too. But the fun aspect of it would be off the charts for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind, here's my thing with the Cowboys. They have more resources than everybody. They're very scared of the cap, as you've laid out well through the years. And also because of the cap, you can't really totally, do what the Dodgers are doing and just go sign everybody.
Well, they also, there's no deferred money in the NFL, right?
Right.
So, you can't get Ohtani to be like, no, you can just pay me all my money after I help you win 11 World Series.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as an ownership group, your only way to really have that advantage or use that advantage if you're a super valuable franchise is to go get a great coach. So, I'm thinking, go get the top candidate. So, in my mind, I don't feel like Dan Campbell's realistic.
Mm-hmm. Well, because he'd have to give up draft pick compensation to him, yeah.
But go get Ben Johnson. I know he's going to be a hot commodity. I know he's the big name out there right now because of what he's done with that Detroit offense. But get him in the building, have him work with Dak Prescott. That would be my first choice. I would be okay with Deion. I would be kind of less inspired by Robert Saleh, but I understand the logic behind it. My big concern right now is,
what's up? We outside. Having fun doing what I want, cause you know the sun beating down kinda like a drum. Look how I do it. Look how I do it.
Another beautiful day out there, folks, so get out there, but don't forget your sunscreen, UV and
I just wanna have a good time. It's all on me. Pleasure's mine. The weatherman said it's the right time, so we gon' get it jumping till the night time. We gon' get it. We gon' get it. We gon' get it. We gon' get it. We outside. Yeah, I might just take a dive with it, feel alive with it, ride with it, cause I'm fly with it. Loud with the trouble, loud with the bass. No clouds in the way, smile on my face. Look how I do it. Look at me, look at me, look at me splash. Look at me, look at me, look at me splash. Look at me, look at me, look at me splash. Look at me, look at me splash.
Paul, he loves people that have been in that building before. Mm-hmm. And I think that's partly because he just likes people with familiarity. Also, because I don't think Jerry really knows who the good coaches are in the league.
I don't think he pays attention to anybody but the Cowboys.
Yes.
He knows, but he's not in depth in there. Somebody will come and tell him, hey, this is who you should hire this guy. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, it's RJ Ochoa on the very first episode of Catalina's Cowboys Corner.
Love it.
Said, use the term incestuous relationship that the Cowboys have with they very rarely go outside of it.
They don't. And I'm worried that Kellen Moore, I know he's coming off a good run here with Philly, but I think that familiarity aspect, and they can kind of explain away the ending there in Dallas with Mike and him didn't really gel. Mike wanted to take the reins, and we saw how that worked out. That would be my big concern. But if I were choosing, I'd say Ben Johnson. I would be okay with Deion. I think it's really fascinating What's your top list, your top 3 list?
Right now, like my list is, like Robert Saleh would make that defense like
Good.
Like you give Robert Saleh, Micah Parsons. Are you kidding me? And I want somebody that runs the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, like Mike McDaniel. Like that's the offensive system I think would work best for Dak Prescott. Is it the offensive system I think is the best in the league? No, but it's the best for quarterbacks who are good but not great. That's what I think. So I want somebody who would come from that tree and bring that kind of system, because I think that for who the Cowboys are right now, that would work the best. Who the quarterback is. Like if you've got, look at the Dolphins. Every running back is. Raheem Mostert, career renaissance there. Devin Achane is like a budding superstar that people just maybe don't notice, but he's a badass. The 49ers don't miss a beat running the ball when Christian McCaffrey's out as far as, just getting yards. Now, are the other guys as good as Christian McCaffrey? No, he's an elite level player. So if everybody else that they get can perform at an 80, he performs at a 95 every time he's out there instead of them. But they can get by with an 80 because they have other good athletes. They built it around that. And that their quarterback was the last pick in the draft. And up until this year, everybody's been like, wow, look at Brock Purdy. So do I think Dak Prescott is better than Brock Purdy? Yes, I do. And so, but the Cowboys they have not run a system the last few years that is Dak friendly. And that needs to be the biggest thing. Dion would do that. I know he would do that. And Robert Saleh would do that. My third choice would be Ben Johnson because, again, he would do that. That's what he would do. Do you remember when you thought about Jared Goff before Ben Johnson got a hold of him?
Yeah, he was just a bus driver.
Yeah.
He was holding that team back.
Yeah, he's a stud now. And look, maybe when Ben Johnson leaves, he'll regress because whoever takes over won't be able to, put that, extra seasoning on him. But golly,
if they hired Dion, do you think they just say, hey, we'll use a pick on Shiloh? How do they solve the Shadur situation? Because I know
the Shadur situation is not solvable.
Right.
For at least 2 years.
You're not going to go get him now. Yeah.
You're not going to go get him right now. He's not no one who's got a pick at 3 is going to let you trade up. No one who's got a pick in the first 3 is going to take Dak Prescott off your hands. And even if you trade Dak Prescott, there's $100 million in dead money that comes with that, which of all the things in the salary cap that I don't understand, and I'm sure there's a reason for it, but when I trade a guy, why do I have dead money? If the other team's willing to take on that, I don't know. I'm going to have to get a capologist to explain why I'm punished
why you're taking on the contract,
especially since this guy, we're giving the other team wants this guy. I don't know. The dead money thing is weird. So they can't because they already don't know how to work the cap, and that's clear and evidence in the fact that Dak has this contract in the first place. And they didn't get this, they could have gotten this done 4 years ago and given him this long contract that they would have renegotiated a couple times. But they could have done it when the first contract was up, given him a longer term deal, and they wouldn't be in jail right now.
I know this is a silly question, but why can't they just be normal? What McCarthy, if you knew you were going to fire him, or if you knew you were going to let the contract expire, whatever, why wait 2 weeks? Just let him go on the Monday after the season. I don't understand. This is the second time in a row now they've let a coach's contract expire. And with Garrett, we thought it was Jason's so close with Jerry, he wanted to
Well, Jerry thought that there was going to be another Jason Garrett type deal where deadlines make deals, I'll do it. And then McCarthy's nah, what don't you know about me that you didn't already know a week ago? My respect for Mike McCarthy, I never didn't respect him, but nice balls, dude. Seriously, way to stand up for yourself and go, wait a minute, why are we negotiating my contract this week? Here, from my perspective, is this. Yeah. I've had 2 seasons where we didn't make the playoffs. In both those seasons, Dak Prescott was hurt for the majority of the year. The 3 seasons where he wasn't, 12-5. Yes, did we lose in the playoffs? Sure. But I could point to things that you also did to not give me all the tools at my disposal. Yeah. And then going into this year, when you knew we didn't have a running back, you just told me, like, we've got a good idea. Have you heard of Zeke Elliott?
We've got this new young commodity out there.
Yeah. And look, we found Rico Dowdle, an undrafted free agent, and so that always works out for us. Tony Romo was undrafted. In case you don't remember, Tony Romo was undrafted. Miles Austin was undrafted. You know, those things work out for us, but you know, it's just why can't they be normal? Because they're not normal. They're just not.
They're just not. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again. Jerry's bought into his own myths about him, like a little bit. Like he's a wildcatter, that he's this. No, he's very risk adverse. I keep saying it over and over and over again. Like all this is not. Here's what's true about Jerry. He loves the attention. He loves the marketing. He loves all that stuff. They're making tons of money all the time. So it's hard for him to really get down. Like there's never been a point where he can look at the bottom line and be like, hey, we got to change something, you know, because that's the language that truly speaks to him. Because it's like, well, I mean, we keep doing this. Like, people still, like, the NFL needs us. Like, Fox's ratings are the lowest they've been in years because the Cowboys weren't in their 3 o'clock window ever. You know.
Well, and that's why you're totally right about the risk-averse thing. Like, he's loyal to a fault in a lot of ways. That's why I don't think he'll make the Deion move. It's not because he doesn't love him. It's just the idea of bringing somebody in who has been good at the college level, but has no pro experience. I know Jerry did that like back in the early 90s, but I don't see him doing that again. So I think he'll probably keep it pretty safe. And I mean, I think Robert Saleh is a pretty safe choice. I don't think it's a bad choice necessarily. I just feel like it's a very conventional defensive coach. We got a good defense. We're going to let him work on that. And I mean, once again, the underlying issue, there's no control really being seated here. Like we all know who is still in charge and wants a big part of the input when it comes to Dallas and the personnel decisions.
Yeah. No, that's very true. I don't know. I think it's just long overdue time for them to change everything. Like what they're doing is not working, and it hasn't worked for 30 years now. And
they're like arrogant about it. They're like they like think they think they're somehow above, you know, so many other teams in the league, and it's like, you're not good, guys. I mean, you've had good regular seasons. You've had really good regular seasons in this run, but you've never broken through and made a playoff run.
You know what the first thing you see when you walk into the Star is, Steven? The first thing, it's right, like, for whatever reason, it's not like in the middle, but it's just off to the right. Like, so you walk in, and there's the press room on the right, and right behind the press room is the wall. And you know what's on the wall? 5 Lombardi trophies. And you know what they haven't added? Like, it's been 5 Lombardi trophies through 2 different facilities now.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was 5. Like, when you walked into Valley Ranch, you know, behind the secretary's desk, gosh, I can remember her name. She was so sweet. But just to give her some respect.
Some kudos, yeah.
But she was very sweet. I lost my credential one time, and she's like, oh, it's okay. I've got you in the system. You were all nervous that you drove up here for nothing. It's okay. You want a bottle of water? Here's some butterscotch. Like that kind of
very reassuring.
I was like young and nervous, like, oh, I came all the way up here and I'm gonna have to call Smokey, and he's gonna be like, you lost it, you know, I gotta call you know. I just was waiting to get yelled at.
Yeah.
And that was before I knew that Smokey would also do that exact same thing. So, but anyhow, there's 5 trophies. So, I mean, like, again, until this system works and you add to that trophy, you can't take any victory laps.
Well, and it's been so long.
The Netflix thing's coming out, and like,
yeah,
you see Jerry, like, chest all puffed out, like, okay, but you still, like, at least when you showed, like, the Bulls aren't bragging about how they're still good at this. Mm-hmm. Like, the Bulls were talking about how good it was when they were there. Jerry's just, yeah.
Well, and you used to be the best, or at least tied for the best. Like, that was the whole thing. If you're a Cowboys fan, at least you can say, well, you know, we've won 5, but now the Patriots have passed you, the Steelers have passed you, the Niners are knocking on the door. Like, there's that all-time scoreboard's not even there anymore.
Yeah. No, it's not. So they've got to change something. And, like, the reason I'm so, like, jealous of the Eagles, right, is the Philadelphia Eagles, not the band. But the Philadelphia Eagles is that they have a GM and an owner who, like, they'll take that look at their system and go, you know what, this is not working.
Yeah.
Like, this is not working. Like, what's can do? Like, Howie Roseman's like constantly ahead of the curve, and he's constantly there. And the Cowboys are like, look, I don't know if you guys remember the first time the salary cap came out, we were really hamstrung by it. So now we're afraid. And we had 3 bad years in a row under Dave Campo, and then we hired Bill Parcells, and then he got tired of us, and then we still don't understand it.
We haven't learned a lesson
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. We go to all these meetings, and they have all these things, and we have guys come in and explain it to us, and then when they leave, we're just confused again.
And what was that clip of? I don't remember the context of it. Stephen Jones was like kind of giving the Rams crap because of the way they handled the cap, and
They won.
and you know what? They're playing this week.
Yeah.
Like they won, and they found a way to still be successful.
Yeah.
They struggled at the beginning of the year, and maybe then you could have run a victory lap, but now like they've rallied and they're right back where they need to be.
But here's the thing. If you've won a Super Bowl recently and then you have to go through it and then you can get back to where you can win one again, like, what's bad about that?
Yeah,
What's
nothing.
bad about that?
Yeah.
All right, a little Ohio State Notre Dame real quick here. From your perspective, Stephen. To me, Notre Dame's a bit of a team of destiny. I think that's how they would win this game. Ohio State's better across the board. They're healthier across the board. I think Ohio State wins the game. I don't think they blow them out because I think Notre Dame's defense is good enough to keep it close.
Yeah.
But I do think this is funny because you've got the coach who's made Notre Dame likable versus Ryan Day, whose own mother is like, do you have to come to Thanksgiving? Like, I love you, but like, don't you have to worry about Michigan this week? Don't come. You know
It's
what?
okay.
Don't come.
It's okay, buddy.
It's okay. You know what? We will do a thing after the season. Turkeys are cheaper then. Like, we'll just do that. You know what? Send the grandkids. We'll love to have them. That way you can be less distracted. You, the wife, the grandkids, bring them on. You know what? You don't even like stuffing.
Yeah, that's a pretty good synopsis of the matchup. I think Notre Dame should be able to stay in it with their defense. My concern for Notre Dame is it feels like the one way to exploit Ohio State is to win one-on-one matchups on the outside with your receivers. I'm not sure Notre Dame has the weapons to do that on a consistent basis. The way they've made it work really is with their run game, and I feel like that's going to be tough to do against a very stout Ohio State defense. But that being said, Notre Dame's faced some really good fronts this year and still been able to hold their own. I feel like ultimately, though, Ohio State wins. And, one fascinating thing to me about this matchup, we said before the year, one great thing about the 12-team playoff, you could see, typically in college football, you slip up once, maybe twice. That could be the end of your season. And we've seen that play out with both these teams. I mean, Notre Dame had that loss to Northern Illinois, and in most years in the 14 playoff, that would have cooked them, but they found a way to stay alive. They've made a run here. Ohio State lost to Oregon. They get beat by Michigan, and that was a good wake-up call for them. And so we're seeing the fruits of, like, the unexpected nature of the playoff playing out already, which is cool to see. And I'm also, kind of happy that there's not an SEC team in there. I'm sure you are as well, Paul, because you get tired of all the SEC propaganda.
No, I do. Like, Craig, I think, kind of paints me with the brush, and I understand why he does, of like an SEC hater. I'm not an SEC hater. I really enjoy watching most of the teams in the SEC play. I don't care. Like, I only actively root against one of them because they're the root of all evils in this world, the University of Florida.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, if you told me that Osama bin Laden went there, I'd be like, yeah, I know he did.
Jorts and all.
But like, I don't feel any kind of way about Alabama or Georgia or Tennessee or anything like that. Vanderbilt, Mizzou, A&M, two. I keep forgetting Texas is in that. So 2 places that are the root of all that's soulless and wrong. The rest of them,
Pretty chill, yeah.
14 other teams don't care. What I do not like, and I don't like this in general, and I think it's funny because when I talk about things that go on in the world, like I know that they there's the text chain that calls me Comrade Catalina because they think I'm like this leftist. And then fine if they think that. Like, I'm not. Like, I think leaning in either direction is a stupid thing to do because that's how they make you, like ignore the fact they don't do their jobs.
Divide and conquer, baby.
Yeah. Boom. Thank you, Garrett. So I'm just a get it done kind of a guy. What I don't like is propaganda, because propaganda is all bogus for the most part. Like, I fell for some propaganda from Belt Bros. Belt Bros, your propaganda is a lie. You don't help weighty people at all. See, like those kind of things. I don't like propaganda. I like facts. I like things that are real. And the propaganda from the SEC was using their elite teams to prop up their same teams. Like everybody else in the SEC is the same. Alabama's was elite for a long time. And then you have a rotating group of teams that are elite through that, and some of them were able to be consistent, and some of them weren't. Like some of them just kind of flared up. Like Auburn flared up for a second. Florida was for a little bit, but they've not been. They've been the most inconsistent elite program in that league since 2007.